Today we're going to be looking at multiplying polynomials by monomials, and it's actually really similar to some things that we've done before, mainly distributing, but now that you guys know how to deal with the exponents, now I can make the things in the parentheses a little more complicated. So I just want to show you quickly today how to deal with distributing and multiplying now that we are very exponent friendly. Okay, so looking at number one is just a basic one, and you know that this is a multiply problem. Again, remember, because there's no plus or minus here where my arrow is, and so since the y is just directly next to the parenthesis, it's a multiply problem. So what they want us to do is they want us to take this y and multiply it to the first y, so it looks like this, y times y. Okay, and then what they want us to do is they want us to multiply it to the second guy, which is the 2. Okay, so it's a y times y, and then minus y times 2. And again, this minus just came from us, from that minus right here, so I just dropped it down. Y times y, we know we keep the base, and then add the two exponents because we're multiplying, so it comes y squared. Y times 2 is 2y, and that's all I can do with that problem. So that's as simple as it gets, and there we go. Okay, what we have here is we have three things in here now, but it's the same idea. I want to go negative 3b times 2b squared. Okay, and then I want to go plus, plus, because there's my plus sign there, negative 3b times 4b. And then I want to go minus because there's a minus sign right here in front of the 1. I just scoot that over there. So I go minus, and then negative 3b times 1. Okay, so whatever sign you have in here in the parentheses is what I'm dropping down in the separation things. Okay, if I look at this one, the 2 shouldn't be there on the outside. The 2 should be on the inside. So it should look like this instead. Sorry. So negative 3b times 2b squared is 6. Keep the b and add the exponents. And then this is a negative 6 because I had a negative 3. Okay. And then we end up with plus negative 3b times 4b. So if I do the numbers first, it becomes 3 times 4 is negative 12. And then b times b is b squared. And then we have minus negative 3b times 1 just stays 3b. And let's simplify this. So the negative 6b to the third is good. When we get this combination, it turns into a minus, right? So it ends up being minus 12b squared. And then this combination gives me a plus. And there's my final answer. Okay. So just don't forget your rules for multiplying, and we should be good to go. Okay, let's try number 3 and see how you guys do with number 3. So same idea. Here we go. 4x squared to 5x squared looks like this. Okay, looking at my sign here, the next sign is minus in there, so I'm going to do that. And then, so drop that minus down, open a parenthesis, 4x squared times 2xy. Here's my plus sign inside the parenthesis, so I get a plus sign here. 4x squared times y squared. And then we multiply. In the first parenthesis, 4 times 5 is 20. And then I have the x's, so keep the base, add the exponents. I drop this minus sign down. The numbers first, 4 times 2 is 8. The x's, I keep the x, and this is x squared times x to the first, so it becomes x to the third. And then there's nothing for y, so it just drops down. Plus 4x squared y squared. Nothing to combine in there because they're all different, so I just leave it like that. Okay, so my computer acted up for a second, and so I had to rewrite this number 4. But again, we're simplifying, and so I threw in some brackets in here. But remember, parentheses and brackets, they're all in the same family there. So what I would recommend you doing is to remember our PEMDAS, okay? Our order of operations. And so I know that you guys are smart people, that you got to work in the brackets first. But I think what gets confusing is we might want to do something with this 2a minus 3, and that's not true, okay? Because inside the brackets we have a parenthesis, so we have a p, and so what they want us to do with this p is to take this whole thing, not just the 3 but the negative 3, and bring it in there and distribute it also in there. Okay, so what I essentially have is I have that 2a that we haven't done anything with yet, and then negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, and then I have negative 3 times negative a, so those two negatives will give me a positive, so 3 times a is 3a, and then I drop this a down that I haven't done anything with. Still in the brackets, I have like terms. I have the 2a and the 3a. So if this is still something that's confusing you, if I had a box that had 2 a's, basically what it's telling me to do is to add the 3 more a's. So 1, 2, 3. So now I have a total of 5 a's in there. So now I have a total of 5 a's in there. And then this minus 3 had no like term, so I bring it down. That a I bring down, and like I said, the bracket is just a family of the parentheses, so if you want to rewrite it now with a parenthesis, you can, and it's just distributing one more time. Okay, so a times 5a is 5, and then we keep the a's, add the exponents. A times negative 3 is negative 3a, and there's my final answer. Okay. So number 5, a little different. What I want to do this time is I want to solve, okay? So I know this is different because when I solve, remember it has an equal sign. So solving means that at the end I'm going to have something that looks like n equals some number, okay? Anytime there's a solve, it's going to be x equals something, n equals something, okay? So, but the principle of it and how we started out is exactly the same as we've been doing in 1 through 4. So distribute this n in. Okay, n times 2 is 2n. N times negative 5n is keep the 5, keep the n, and add the exponent, so 5n squared. Now I go to here. Positive 5 times n squared is 5n squared. Positive 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Okay, and then that equals 0. I'm going to collect some like terms. So here's my n squareds, but they're exactly the same but opposite signs. So when we have something that's when we have something that's exactly the same but opposite signs, remember they cancel out. And so all I'm left with is 2n minus 10 equals 0. Think of it like this: my n, he wants to stay all by himself, so he's got to move everybody around him out of the way. So let's start with this 10. To move that, we got to move that 10 over to the other side because the n doesn't like him anymore. So I'm going to add 10, add 10. These guys cancel out. I get 10 on that side, and then here's my 2n that's still left over. This n still wants to be by himself, so we got to get rid of that 2. So we're going to divide. N equals 5. Okay. And remember, when we're solving and you want to check your answer, you know n is 5, so let's plug it into the original problem and make sure that it's equal on both sides. Okay, and there you go, multiplying polynomials by monomials.